G'day, it's Dan Beeston here for Tuts Plus. There are plenty of professional grade audio programs available to you, but you don't need to fork out an enormous amount of cash to create audio on your computer. There are some great options out there, and one of the more powerful and fully featured ones is Audacity. Now you can get Audacity from SourceForge, or simply just do a search online for Audacity, and download the latest version. Once you've downloaded it, unzip it, and move that entire Audacity folder into your Applications folder. We'll open it up. And there you go. Audacity is open source, meaning it's been built by geeks who just love the mathematics of music and sound. This means that it's got all sorts of strange and exciting effects and filters and plugins. It also means that it drives like a homemade car. So, is it for you? Is it for your project? There are some things it's great for. Podcasting, audio sketches, sound effects for theatre productions, anything that doesn't have a measure. If you're on a Mac and you want to make a song, then GarageBand is probably going to be your best bet. It's got metronomes and instruments and tools that allow you to finesse the beat. You can also tinker with MIDI files. In Audacity, MIDI can only be displayed, it can't be edited. Audacity is all about the waveform. If you're going to be doing a lot of micro-editing of a single audio stream, say you've recorded a podcast and you'd like to invest in your experience, then I'd encourage you to take a look at Twisted Wave, which is a fairly inexpensive alternative. But if you're on a budget, or you're just experimenting, or you need to move a lot of separate audio elements around, then come with me and we'll take a closer look. Firstly, let's have a look at the preferences. There's heaps of stuff you can mess around with here, but the main ones are under your devices. You can select what speakers you're using, whether it's your built-in output, speakers included in your microphone, or software speakers if you've installed Soundflower. And the same with your recording device, built-in microphone, expensive microphone, whatever you've got hooked up. You can also select how many channels to record into. Now, one thing that may confuse you is if you've started Audacity and you haven't plugged your microphone in, when you plug your microphone in, it may not appear under your devices or here under your devices. Audacity doesn't auto-refresh your input devices. So to force a refresh, you can go to Transport, Rescan Audio Devices, and anything that's been changed will be reflected. Under Recording, we can actually select Overdub to play the tracks while we're recording new ones, or have various hardware and software playthrough. This can be used if you're trying to record a song or some audio and you want to be able to hear the other tracks. Pop down to Tracks and there's a couple more options. I always turn that one off. And also, if you're a bit of a power user, down at Keyboard you can change the keyboard shortcuts for pretty much anything in the entire program. Alright, well now that's ready to go. Let's have a look at our interface. Here we can see that we've set our inbuilt speakers as our output and our built-in microphone as our input. We might change that to reflect my expensive microphone. And now you can see the basic buttons that you'd expect to see on anything invented after the 8-track. You can click the record button and simply start recording straight into the program. Stop it, play it again, and simply start recording straight into the program. Pause it midway, or simply stop it. Jump to the beginning or jump to the end. Pretty standard stuff. The more exciting stuff is found here. These are your tools. Now these can all be selected using function keys, F1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or simply by clicking. This first tool is the selection tool. So you can select your audio, hit spacebar to play it, and simply start. Zoom into your selection. Zoom out again, zoom to the full project, and delete. I'll just undo that. If you want to change the volume, you're going to want to use the envelope tool. Here you can set how loud any particular element will be, nice and quiet there, and then louder again there. This makes it really easy to adjust volume when it's going to be fairly dynamic and change over the course of time. It's also non-destructive, so you can boost it up to full again, and it will be exactly the way it was when you first started. Alright, number 3 tool, the pencil. This tool allows you to zoom in really close until you can see individual sound elements and then redraw them by hand. I can't imagine any instance where you would want that much control over your waveform, but it's there if you need it. Zoom back out to fit our project. And of course we've got our zoom tool. We can click to go in, or right click to zoom out, or highlight and it zooms straight into that selected area. Now the time shift tool is where the real power of Audacity comes in. You can grab a block of sound and drag it forward and backwards along the timeline, which doesn't sound too powerful, but we're going to start a little project to show you just how useful that tool really is. And finally, there's a multi-selection tool where you can select sound, and you can also move the cursor up to the top or bottom and change the envelope as well. You can zoom in by right-clicking and highlighting, and zoom back out by just right-clicking. Fairly useful little blend of all the different tools. Alright, I'm going to load up a file that I've already been working on. It's got 3 separate channels, and if we listen to it, oh, they're all intermixed and over the top of each other. Now I could mute 2 of them, or if they were all unmuted, I could just hit solo to listen to 1 channel.
I told you, call me rock.
Now our audio here is a little bit quiet, so we can amplify it, and there are a number of different ways we can amplify it. We could select all, and then we can run an effect over it called amplify, and it'll find the loudest it can possibly amplify everything before it starts clipping. Hit OK, and everything's a bit louder. What a cacophony. The problem there is that our quiet bits get loud and our loud bits get too loud. What we can do is run an effect across it called compressor. And with compressor, depending on the settings that you use, the loud bits get quieter and the quiet bits stay the same volume. That makes all the sound of a consistent volume, but it means that it's all quieter now. But we have to amplify it as loud as it goes before it clips. And of course, by default, compressor will do that for you. Just leave that tick on. It'll make the loudest parts quieter and then boost everything up. Nice. Now if one track is too loud compared to the others, you can just grab the volume control here and change the gain. Make those 2 quieter, and the middle one will be the loudest. But we'll keep them at 0 for now. And if the whole project is too loud, you can change the output volume up here. Now various microphones have different gain settings on them. A good microphone will allow you to record only what you want to record and all the background noise will vanish. But sometimes it's just impossible to avoid a bit of background noise. So the best way to get rid of noise using Audacity is grab a chunk of your noise, go to Effect, Noise Removal, get the noise profile, then select all of your audio file, run noise removal again, and just click OK. It will use that noise profile to completely remove all of that background hiss from the entire file. That can be really powerful. So, we've got our narrator.
When we last left Rock Volcano and Tracy Ankle Twist, they had evaded their pursuers in the Transylvanian jungle.
And we've got our hero.
I told you, call me Rock.
And finally, we've got our heroine.
Mr. Volcano.
I may be a great vocalist, but even I can't seem to strip the manliness out of my voice. What I might do is select the entirety of this channel by double-clicking, and then go to Effect and change pitch. And I could change the pitch by 16 semitones. Alright, that's sounding a little bit chipmunk. Let's try just 3.
Mr. Volcano.
That will probably do the job. So now's the point that I want to get all this audio in the right sequence. So I'll remove solo. This is my narrator. So I don't want any of the dialogue to begin until after that point. So I'll grab my time shift tool and just grab the heroine's voice, and I'll grab the hero's voice. I can start back at the beginning by clicking this button, and then click play or spacebar to get started, or I could just click in the timeline here to start from that point.
Invaded their pursuers in the Transylvanian jungle.
Mr. Volcano.
I told...
A little bit slow there. Now our text has to be broken up, but the timing's still a little bit out.
Mr. Volcano.
I told you. Call me Rock.
I could swear I...
It's all still a bit over the top of each other, so we're going to have to break this up into little parts. So let's go to our select tool, select this area here. Now we could hit delete, and that would take away that pause and move everything back. It's kind of a delete and ripple effect that you may see in other programs. But we don't want that. We want to separate these two parts of audio. So we can go to Edit, Split Delete, or Option Command K. Do it here. Command Option K. Command Option K. Command Option K. Nice and quick. And I do the same thing for the heroine's voice. Then, of course, I'd want to shuffle them along so that they all matched up correctly. So click on our time shift tool again, and we can move them all back and forth. But we can only do one at a time here. What would happen if we wanted to move a whole bunch? Well, we can move the entire line by holding Shift and dragging. So let's hold down Shift and move them all out a bit. Now take our finger off Shift, and we can drag them down and stagger them so they make sense. Hold down Shift and scroll the mouse wheel, and the whole window will scroll left and right. There we go. All lined up correctly. Now, if you've got any bits of dialogue in there, possibly recorded from your podcast that you want to get rid of, and you've got more than one channel, then you're going to want to select all of the channels so their timing all continues to match up. So, you'd get your select key, and you'd select one channel here, but it's not selecting these two channels. So you'd want to click on this button here, the Sync Lock Tracks button, and then when you hit delete, it's deleted from all 3 channels. This is fantastic for editing podcasts and getting rid of ums and ahs. I'd also recommend, before you ever hit delete, that you also go to the Find Zero Crossings button, or Z. And what this does is it just moves your selection a fraction of a second so that the ends of your selection line up with the zero crossing on your waveform and you don't get a horrible click or pop at your edit points. For instance, if we zoom in nice and close to this channel here, zoom in further, and we can select from there to there. If we just hit delete, we end up with a really sharp pop at this point. But if we hit Z, it moves along slightly so that at this end it's at 0 and at this end it's at 0. And then when we hit delete, there's no pop. It matches and hits the 0 point. Now at this point in our file, we want to add a sound effect of a rifle. So we might just jump across to freesound.org, look for a gunshot, and download it. I've downloaded that and saved it to my desktop, so I'm going to go to File, Import some audio, go to my desktop, and download that gunshot noise. And we're going to make a copy of the file. Now that file is copied into my project. So we've got a stereo channel here. Let's have a listen to it.
When we last left Rock Volcano.
So we want to drag it up to where it needs to be. We'll turn off our sync lock track. And put our gunshot noise in. Now we've got all of that audio all lined up, but we need to put a break in there. So we're going to select all three of them and then move them along. And we'll select these ones too and move them up. Let's try that.
Over there.
Stand back.
That's not too bad, although unfortunately our rifle sound cuts out a little bit too jarringly. Let's add a little bit of echo to that guy. We'll select it, go to Effect, Echo, and we'll change the delay time to 1/5 of a second, and every 1/5 of a second it will repeat and it will decay by 50%. So click OK. We've got our echo, but it's not lasting long enough. You can see here that there's only audio in this small envelope here. What we need to do is add some silence to this first, and then add our echo in. So we'll generate some silence. We'll generate 4 seconds. Notice there's a cut here. I can click that and it will join. Now select the whole thing. Create an echo. We might make that decay a little faster. And have a listen. Much better. I'd also like to bring in a little bit of atmosphere. Let's fit vertically again so we can see everything we're working with. And I'm going to import some more audio. This jungle AIF file. Brilliant. Let's have a listen to that.
When we last left Rock Volcano and Tracy Ankle Twist, they had evaded.
It's the sound that I want, but it's still far too loud. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop the gain right down on that. This is a non-destructive way of working with your volume. So let's try that again.
When we last left Rock Volcano and Tracy Ankle Twist, they had evaded their pursuers in the Transylvania.
Still a bit loud.
Mr. Volcano.
I told you, call me Rock.
Rock. I could swear I saw something moving in the bushes. Over there.
Okay, that's coming along beautifully. But at this point in our story,
Quickly, into this cave.
we want to change that sound effect. So, to make it nice and smooth, let's drag that down so it's nice and quiet and fades out into the background.
Into this cave. Mind your step. Don't worry, I've got you.
Alright, so they're in a cave, but it doesn't sound like they're in a cave. So, let's select all of that audio.
Mind your step.
We're going to select an effect called Matrix Reverb. We can select an environment. It will run a stereo track together and create an exciting bounce within that space. But we don't have a stereo track here. We've got all mono tracks. So what I'm going to do is go to this drop down here and make those two tracks a stereo track. Now it's a stereo channel. I can grab them all, click Effect, click Small Room, and now when we listen,
Mind your step. Don't worry, I've got you.
I think I twisted my ankle.
I'll carry you.
one of those sound elements hasn't been affected by the filter. A little bit of a glitch that hopefully will be sorted out in a future update. But, you know, you get what you pay for. Let's undo that. Let's select it all, copy and paste, and try running it over both of them. That's got it. Now we can get rid of that. And
Mind your step. Don't worry, I've got you.
I think I twisted my ankle.
I'll carry you.
great. Well, I think we're pretty much done. Let's have a look at our whole file. That sound effect probably goes on a little bit too long, so let's grab it and hit delete. And now that's our audio file. Now we're going to save it. Audacity projects are pretty big when you save them. We'll save that project. Let's go have a look at it. It's on my desktop, and you'll see here it is, adventure.aup. It's an Audacity file, but it's only 9 kilobytes, so all that information isn't in that file. When you record with Audacity, it creates a temporary folder, and every 6 seconds it creates a new audio file and saves it. That way, if you have a major system crash or you force quit, then whatever you've recorded is still protected. So if you're doing an interview with someone, then you haven't lost all of your information. This is great, and it's something that GarageBand simply doesn't do. Now, you probably don't just want an Audacity file, you probably want to export it to a file that's more common. And that's easy enough to do. Simply go to Export and select from any number of files. Now, the only problem you're going to run into is that a very popular file format is MP3. Now, if you try to save an MP3 file, it's not going to work. You're going to need to install Lame. But Audacity makes it super easy for you. Just go to Preferences, go down to Libraries, download it, follow the instructions for your operating system. In our case, it's Mac. We'll go to the Lame download page. Let's download the zip version, unzip it, and put it somewhere safe. Copy it into Documents. Now in Audacity, go to Documents, to our Lame library, and link it up. There we go, our MP3 library version is Lame 3.98.2. So now, we can export our MP3 file and save it. It's going to save it down to 2 channels. And there it is there. Simple MP3 file.
When we last left Rock Volcano and Tracy Ankle Twist, they had evaded their pursuers in the Transylvanian jungle.
Mr. Volcano.
I told you, call me Rock.
Rock. I could swear I saw something moving in the bushes. Over there.
Stand back.
Ah!
Quickly, into this cave. Mind your step. Don't worry, I've got you.
I think I twisted my ankle.
I'll carry you.
There you go, we've created our own exciting 1940s adventure serial. And you've made your first steps into really understanding Audacity. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please do ask them in the comments below. This has been Dan Beeston for Tuts Plus.